In this video, we'll explore some of the applications of exponents and their properties. We'll start off with compound interest, which is probably one of the more exciting ones because we're talking about money. In this general formula, A equals P times the quantity 1 plus R divided by N raised to the NT power gives the amount of money in an account after a certain amount of time. These are the variables. A is the amount of time in years or after T years. T, we'll skip down to that, is number of years. P is the principal or your starting amount, the initial amount in the account. R stands for the rate of interest, but this is super important that it's written as an appropriate decimal. Remember, if you have like 5%, to change that to a decimal, we're going to take this decimal point and move it 2 places to the left and get it to be 0.05. That decimal equals 5%. N is the number of times that we're going to compound the interest. And in this box are various different words. Daily, there's 365 days in a year. Quarterly, 4 quarters in a year. So what we're talking about with compounding interest is that's when the bank or the institution would calculate the interest, compound the interest. So they take all the money in the account at that time and they calculate, okay, this percentage of interest, boom, here you go. And then from that point forward, the account has a larger amount. When we're looking at a problem like this one, determine the amount of money in the account after 4 years. Time is 4. Rate is 3%, but as a decimal, 0.03. Again, move that decimal place 2 to the left. The interest is compounded monthly, so N is 12, as there are 12 months in a year. And the principal or starting amount is $100. So this is our initial information that we're going to substitute into the formula that was given at the top of the page. So the amount after 4 years, if $100 was invested at 3% compounded monthly, for 4 years, and again, that was monthly. Now, the interest is 3% annually. So every month, they won't calculate 3% and offer that interest rate. They're going to offer 1/12 of that interest rate of 3%, which is why we divide the interest rate by N. So over the year, we'll separate 3% and distribute that throughout. Now, you'll end up earning a little more than 3% because every time they compound the interest, as I said earlier, your account will be a little bit larger because that interest then carries with as new principal or new balance in that account. And all of that is taken into account in this formula, so you won't need to worry. Now, the exponent, 4 times 12, that's going to be 48. Meaning over the 4 years, they will compound interest 48 times. Now, you can type all of this right into the calculator, but I would recommend doing this one piece at a time where you're in control. So we follow the order of operations and go inside the parentheses and deal with that division first. 3/100 divided by 12 plus 1, or hit enter, then plus 1. Then hit enter and raise that answer to the 48th power. Hit enter, and then multiply that answer by 100. This way, no rounding takes place, and you'll have the exact answer until the end, when we will round to the nearest penny because we're talking about money. In this case, $112.73, which would mean that over 4 years invested at 3% in this account, compounded monthly, you would earn $12.73 in interest, which may not seem like a lot, but we also only invested $100, so it was a small amount to start. I would like you to try this next question on your own, and then you can push play. And so pause the video, try the problem. When you think you have the answer, push play and see how you did. All right, I went ahead and wrote this, all the given information in the box. $2,000 was the initial investment that was invested for 20 years at 1.5% compounded quarterly. Again, we'll work in the problem. 4 times 20 is 80, so the exponent is going to be 80, and that means we'll compound the interest 80 times over those 20 years. So again, in your calculator, take that 1.5%, divide by 4, hit enter, add 1, enter, raise that answer to the 80th power, hit enter, and multiply by 2,000. And the final answer, rounded to the nearest penny, is $2,698.20. Now this time, over that amount of time, we earned a total of $698.20 in interest. Now we'll look at some geometry applications. And in this case, I'm going to give you the formula for the volume of a rectangular prism, where L is defined as the length, W the width, and H the height. You'll see 3 dimensions that we're working in, and each of those, they've given us an expression instead of an actual length. The length is 5x. The width is given as 2x. The height is given as x. And that's for the volume. Now, in the problem, they ask for a simplified expression, so this would not cut it to receive the points. And you may be wondering, why is this in a property of exponents section? And the answer is we're multiplying the same base of x to the first power, x to the first power, x to the first power. And when you multiply the same base, we add the exponents. Now, the numerical factors, the 5 and the 2, we'll multiply those like normal to get 10. So for full credit on this question, the simplified version is 10x cubed. And you could include the units here, units cubed, because we're in 3 dimensions. But that doesn't necessarily matter in the formula stage. It'll matter when we get to an actual answer. They tell us now that x equals 2, so we'll sub that into our formula. 2 cubed times 10, and 2 cubed is 8. 8 times 10, so the volume is 80 units cubed. And it's important to include those units cubed because it's telling us several things. It's telling us a meaning. It's providing meaning or value to the 80. It's not just a number, but instead it's a volume to that specific rectangular prism. Here's another. We have a cylinder. Again, volume is in 3 dimensions. And here we go. Radius squared, and the height would be the three dimensions that we're working with there. All right, so simplified expression again. Volume equals pi times 3x squared, that's the radius, times the height of 7x squared. Now we have a power of a product rule that we have to work on or deal with here, where we take this exponent of 2 and square the 3 and square the x. So we have 9x squared times 7x squared, and we're still multiplying the pi. So 9 times 7 is 63 times pi x to the 4th when we add those exponents. That's the formula for the volume. We're going to take 1.5 as the value for x and substitute that in. So the volume of this cylinder is 63 pi times 1.5 to the 4th power. And when we raise 1.5 to the 4th power and then multiply by 63 and then multiply by pi. Now, if you have a calculator that has a pi key, always use that unless they tell you something different in the problem, because this way you'll use an unrounded version of pi as opposed to 3.14 that's very rounded. And that'll let you have the most accurate answer at the end. And then at the end of the problem, you can, of course, round if you would like. But if you round too early in a problem, sometimes that could throw your answer very, far off. So once we've multiplied those things, as I said, you should end up with 1,001 and 97 hundredths feet cubed. And the reason I stopped at hundredths is they asked us to go to 2 decimal places. Now, if the question had asked for an exact answer, we wouldn't multiply by pi. So you would have said 318.9375 pi feet cubed, or we could take that decimal and make it a fraction. And your calculator will do that for you by hitting math and then enter to say, hey, give me that answer as a fraction. 5,103 over 16 pi feet cubed. So these would be exact answers if they asked for exact, but since they said to 2 decimal places, they wanted the approximate answer right here.